Hi everyone, Catherine here from Inky Finger Cat. I am back with Christmas in July. It is day 24. I've already filmed one video today, so this is my second one, so I'm feeling positive. We can do this. Our theme today is Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, so a cutesy one. And for those that don't know what on earth I'm talking about, first of all, welcome to my madness. This is my mad channel. In July, I attempt to put out a video every single day with a Christmas-based project because I love Christmas card making. Really love it. And yeah, why not? I've done it for the last 2 years. I'm enjoying this year's again. And I'm feeling hopeful that we will get there to the end of this project because it is currently the 19th. I'm filming day 24, so I'm fairly confident I can do this. I can achieve this. So please do subscribe if you're not a subscriber. I have had a lot of new subscribers over the last few weeks and I really appreciate it. It's lovely to be reaching new people and the comments have been lovely. I've been nice to get to know people and people from all over the world, Canada, America, Germany, the UK. I think I even saw something on my stats thing saying somebody had translated it into French, so bonjour. Right, let's crack on, shall we? Yeah, let's crack on. So, my plan for this one was create cards that were suitable for children. So, whether that be you're making cards for your children's classmates, whether you're making cards for grandchildren, great-grandchildren, nieces, nephews, great-nieces, great-nephews. I've got my great-nephews and great-nieces in mind. I have quite a few of them. So that's what I was crafting with in mind. So I do end up making multiple cards. I make 3. They're small sized cards because I'm using, you can see those slimline papers off to the right hand side. These are Kingston Crafts slimline papers. Now they're from the craft cardstock range. They're not specifically for Christmas, but you'll see they work. I pulled out the green, red and blue floral, but they've got the reverse has got like a solid, so that's what I'm doing. I have stamped the 3 reindeers twice. So there's 6 little reindeer images in total. You could absolutely therefore use 6 of them for 6 different cards. I ended up putting 1 on the inside, 1 on the outside of my cards because we know this year I'm all about the insides of my cards. But yeah, my thought process was you want something that's going to look cute for a child's card. So these images are absolutely perfect. You want something that's easy to make. So batch making is your joy if you're making multiple cards for multiple children. And then we all know I don't like to do the same thing twice, so mine are all different, but they're all absolutely the same idea. So you can see here when I'm doing my colouring in, I do not do complicated colouring in. I tend to do maybe 2 different colours in terms of shading, and then and I don't really do huge amounts of shading because these are quite cartoon-like characters, so they don't need to look realistic or anything along those lines. But I just like to have a little bit of shading so that it looks like they're 3-dimensional rather than 1-dimensional. And yeah, that's basically it. So a couple of different colours of the brown. I went in with the darkest brown for the antlers. And then at the end of doing all of this brown, I will go over that lightest colour, the praline? How do we say that word? Praline? Don't know. I just went back over again in a few places just to blend out the darker colour a little bit. To be honest, I'm not using the best cardstock for this kind of technique either. I'm using a cheap, quite porous cardstock, not the best thing for doing marker work on. But it still works out fine. We're not talking, the best colouring in the world, because I'm not the best colourist in the world. I generally keep within the lines, not totally, but generally. I have stamped them in Memento ink, so I know it's not going to bleed. And then the way I colour is, especially if I've stamped multiple images, is I will try and do the whole thing using that one pen. as in I will colour in everything that needs to be red, everything that needs to be blue, everything that, I'll do it all in one go so that it speeds it up because you take the decision making out of the process. I know I've told people this on previous videos, so apologies, I'm repeating myself for those who are not first time listeners, but that's how I do it. And then I just used a white gel pen to add some little highlights. The important thing when you're doing these kinds of things is don't try and then add glossy accents or anything along those lines. It will dissolve your gel pen, so only do this as your very last item. Don't add shimmer or anything like that. It just dissolves the gel pen. So that's just the only little tip I have around gel pens, other than, yes, they all seem to stop working very quickly and are quite an expensive thing that we buy. Now, I don't have dies for this set. I'm sure there were dies when it was originally made, but I've had this for quite a while and I bought it secondhand. So, yeah, I don't have the dies for this, but they're not difficult to fussy cut. So I sat there and fussy cut them all. I will make you watch it all, but I'm about to put it into super speed. Otherwise, you're going to have to listen to me blather on for ages. So I don't mind fussy cutting. It's not something I mind. I actually sometimes prefer fussy cutting to die cutting if it's a complicated thing to line up. I'm not great at lining them up. There are tips and tricks on how to do that, and that is to die cut first, then stamp later. But yeah, I quite often wouldn't bother. I'd probably end up fussy cutting quite a lot of them. I tend to love die cutting when it's solid shapes, or it's actually the die cutting is the thing that makes the image, if you know what I mean. So I have got all my little reindeers, and then I mistakenly folded that first card. That wasn't the intention. And I suddenly realised that that wasn't the plan. So I'll stick it off to the side. I'll come back to it in a minute. I have these 3 patterns of the craft cardstock with the white, which have got more neutral patterns and that are fine turned that direction. Whereas the scallop one, I didn't want it that direction. I wanted it the other direction. Now, one of the panels, I then cut this scallop piece into 3 different panels of 3 different sizes, but, didn't really matter. I wasn't really thinking about size necessarily. On that one, I decided I wanted it with the large print up. And so I did fussy cut the scallop. On the others, I went with the small scallop side up and decided, no, not fussy cutting that tiny scallop. That's insane. Right, on my desk, I happen to have those 3 die cut circles of green foiled cardstock, and I think this is this is probably the part in the month where I start grabbing things that have been left over from other projects, just because I want them off my desk, I want them used, and this is the sort of thing that this is perfect for. I'm just adding little bits and pieces because I'm making little cheerful cards. I've chosen a different colour for each of them, so the sort of the matte layer that's going to be underneath the scallop piece is a different colour. And now I'm just going to stamp the same sentiment 3 times. There are easier ways of doing this than what I'm doing, but it's just about what could I do quickly. And I just, again, I'm using scraps of cardstock. I'm not cutting into anything new. And these don't have dies or anything, so I'm literally just cutting a strip sentiment, lining it up on my trimmer to try and make it straight. I do have to bring one of them back in again because I do realise I've done it slightly wonky. But yeah, I just cut those to size. Here we go. This one's going to come back in. It's just got a really broad bit at the top of the sentiment. So those are my pieces. I've decided, right, next thing is to pull bits of scraps of ribbon or twine onto my card, so they've all going to end up with a slightly different piece of twine or ribbon. This one I decided to turn that red panel so that it became a vertical panel on the page. I'm sticking everything pretty much flat. I'm not bothering with foam adhesive at this point. I'm going to glue my little reindeer down, and then I'm going to use a glue dot to stick that piece of twine in place and trim off the frayed edges. Card 1 front, done. This one I decided I would keep it so that it was matte and layered like so. This time a scrap of this trim, which means I am going to have to use my foam adhesive just along the top part of the sentiment so that it will sit flat or flatter across that trim. I have to just cut my little foam adhesive squares down. I did add a little bit of glue just so I've got wriggle room as well. And again, adding that foiled circle. They are, it's like ready adhesive foil cardstock, so it's just like having a sticky. You just peel the backing off and it goes down. Okay, this one I just trimmed down a little bit so that I got a border around all sides. And this time a tiny scrap of red gingham ribbon that I'm just going to stick behind that circle. Stick that down, stick my sentiment, sticking it off the side. And then I'm going to stick my panel down and add Rudolph to it. So super simple cards. All very different layouts because I wasn't really thinking about the layout. I was just cutting pieces of cardstock and it worked fine. Now we need to work on the insides because Kingston Crafts papers are brilliant because one side is different from the other. And so on the inside of these craft ones, you've got the same print but in a larger design. So I'm taking that last piece of the scallop and I'm just I've cut it into 3 different size panels, just adding a little bit of fussy cutting of the scallop at the bottom. And now I'm going to decorate these white panels I've cut down so that they're just slightly smaller the inside of the card. And I decided to keep the colour that was the solid colour that I've added in, and the reindeer is the same one on the inside as on the outside. Could have mixed it up, but decided to keep them the same. So I'm just adding each of them in a slightly different design. Oh, at that point my ATG ran out, so I'm now on my trusty little Kingston Crafts tape runner, which I love, but I try to now not use it as frequently because I'm now hoarding them, because I don't know if I'll ever be able to get them again. When they sell out, it's really difficult to get hold of them. And there you go, that's my 3 cards done, inside and out. I think I might make more of these because these are perfect for my grandnieces and grandnephews, who there are more than 3 of them, so I need to make more. How about you? Do you like these sorts of cards where they're quick and easy, pretty fun, simple for children's cards, I think. I remember when I was in primary school and we used to have to make them for the whole class. So this sort of design was the sort of thing I would do. I would do the same image many, many times, colour them all in, cut them all out, and then just, find cards, card bases that would work with them. And I have to say, that Rudolph is the cutest Rudolph. And I love the fact that you've got 3 different ones, so you can make 3 different types of Rudolphs. Obviously, you can add in multiple times to the same card. So I hope you've enjoyed that. As I said earlier, please subscribe if you want to see more. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Leave me a little comment below. I'd love to hear what you make for children's cards. Until next time, bye-bye.